Hi guys, welcome to today's episode on Stories the Growth Room by Debola Jai. In today's episode, I have a very special guest right in the studio with me that I would totally love you guys to take some time, listen to. There's such a lot to learn from her. I told her just before we started shooting that she's my friend who has lived many lives and done many things, but we know her for one thing, which is why she's here in the studio with me today, which is finance, right? She's the founder of the Your Personal Finance Girl platform, and she's popularly known as the Personal Finance Girl. So with a standing ovation, even though we're sitting down, right, I'd like to introduce into today's episode, Oluchukwu. Thank you so much for joining us in today's session and having this conversation with me. All right. So if you're listening, we'd love you guys to engage with this episode. Make sure you're following this channel, like, share, subscribe. We basically just want to impact as many people as we can with the right knowledge and technical know-how in today's topic that we're talking about, which is investments, do's and don'ts. So if, like me, you have lost money in the field and in the world of investments, then you definitely want to listen to some of what we're going to talk about today. So to start off, hi.
Hello.
Are you ready for me?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. So to start off, I'd like you to share with us some of the lessons personally that you've learned in the world of investing, and how that has shaped your journey so far.
Okay, so where do I start from? The beginning.
The very beginning.
Okay, so investing is actually a very beautiful concept because how I look at it is most of the time you have like a bit of cash and you're not sure what to do with it.
True.
And you're like, I think I don't want this money to sit down idle. And then I'll go ahead and say, I want to keep it somewhere. I want it to do something. And at the end of the day, it not only comes back, it has to come back. But when it comes back, it should come back with more. Like, even if it is one kobo, if it's $1, $1, at least it's better than how I put it out.
Yeah.
And through my journey, in fact, how or why YPFG started, one of the reasons, because there are just two major things. One of it was because I made a very horrible investing mistake. And if you think about it. Just imagine that you're a young girl, you're making money, you saved up some money, and you're like, it's time, I'm a big girl, let me go and do what big people are doing. And you go ahead to invest. And you did not do your due diligence. You did not ask questions. You do not understand whether this one is for you, because apparently not all type of investment is for everybody.
Yeah.
In fact, there's even the part where I always like to sing about how there's some sorts of investment that would not even go with your morals. Yeah. That will not even go with your beliefs, like even what you stand for. So I did not do all of those ones. So I did not check. I just said, I'm a big girl. I have money. Time to invest. You can guess what happened. Everything gone. And the painful thing, or I won't say it's the painful thing, how did I find out that all of my life savings is gone? I was reading The Richest Man in Babylon. And it was in one of, I can't remember the exact chapter I was in, but then there was a question I asked myself, like, young woman, that money that you invested, does it follow this thing that you just read? So I'd already made up my mind that, okay, if he comes back, praise be to God. If he doesn't, good thing I already learned. God being so kind, it didn't take long. Like in 1 week, I got the email I've been waiting for. We're sorry, payments can't come out. And that was how the story kept on. In fact, I think maybe I archived that email address because I already made up my mind. I'm like, okay, it's fine. I've lost this one. And from that experience, I was able to now, I can't remember if I cried, but I was really hurt because I literally took everything that I had to invest in this particular investment without understanding that it was really high risk. So it just opened me up to so many other lessons. So I started learning about investment. I started learning about myself, What was I supposed to do before investing? How can I ensure that I don't make the same mistake again?
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is I'm starting from scratch again. So I don't have money.
I'm not sure how beautiful that is, but okay.
I didn't have money, so I literally had to start from scratch. And luckily, I am not one who sits in one place. So I had as a then, multiple sources of income.
Hey.
So it's not like now that remote work is a thing. Then I was doing multiple jobs. So I had to pick myself up really fast. And luckily, I said the second thing was when people around me noticed that, oh, this girl is onto something, they typically ask me questions. And they ask me questions, I'll give answers. They'll be like, oh, wow, this thing you said the other day, I tried it out, it worked, though. Oh, this thing you said, I did it. And so it made me see that, oh, there's something I'm sitting on that I'm not doing anything about. And luckily, I took a course on public speaking. My take-home assignment was to go live for 30 days straight talking about something.
Wow.
I would have done business, but I'm like, oh, there's so many consultants, there's so many people doing business, but there was personal finance that I remember that a few years ago, I threw away all of my money, and that was how I started. So
wow, awesome. So there are lots of things you said. I'm going to pick at those things one after the other. But I want to start with due diligence. Due diligence because, like I was telling you recently, how I lost money about a year or two ago, and I lost like 50K USD. So one of the toughest lessons of my life, having to start rebuilding that all over again. Now, I will not say I did not do my due diligence because, interestingly, it was even a banker that introduced that particular investment scheme to me, right? And so it looked good, right? And then also there were other like seasoned investment professionals who also had money in that pool, with that guy. Interestingly, like I was telling you, before losing money in this experience, there was another guy that I almost, in fact, it was like I jumped from fire to fire because like God saved me from one thing and I jumped into another thing because there was this company then called Imagine Global, right? It was like a loan. They used to do like micro loans, right? So for those of you listening, some of you might know Imagine Global. So I'd given some money to Imagine Global, right? And then 3 months later, I was like, okay, I would double the money back. And then a friend had a wedding. We had to do some conversions it was coming in from out of the country to do his wedding. So they needed Naira, they needed to convert USD to Naira. So I'm like, let me just help sort out this wedding. Then I'll double this money and give it to Imagine Global. And I'd initially given them 15 million. And then we're done that for 3 months. And I was going to, so 2021, I was going to double that and give them 30 million, right? And then while during this wedding, I just got the news that Imagine Global had packed up. This man and his wife are running away with like 40 billion. I was just telling my friend, see, the way I partied that night, because it was a wedding. Oh my God. Because I was so happy. I was telling my friends that, see, it's ambulance. You people will have used to carry me from this place today, right? So I got saved from that. So I took that money and then I put it in another investment and then some, right? And then that's what eventually now packed up. So like I said, I won't say I didn't do my due diligence, or maybe I didn't. So I want to talk a bit more about that, right? Okay. Especially, in the Nigerian landscape, with the peculiarities we have here, our infrastructure around compliance, right? And especially in the financial world is not so, especially for people who are getting into investments on a micro and, medium level, right? Except maybe you're dealing with big companies and stuff. I would guess the infrastructure is different. Like if you're investing in MTN and co. But if you're just investing in any of these popular investment instruments that often come out, right? What are some of the things from your experience and also knowledge you've realized should be put in place in terms of due diligence?
Yeah, so one mistake that a couple of us, I'll start from there, make is that we, most of the time, invest via trust.
True.
Not that we have finished crossing the T's and dotting the I's.
Yeah.
So due diligence is more or less like questioning, okay, what is this particular investment about? Do they have the licenses that they are meant to have to carry out this particular investment?
Yeah.
So for this part of licensing, I know that there are a lot of businesses who hedge on other licenses. So they'll be like, okay, I'm affiliated with X who already has the right license.
Especially with financial services, especially because, sorry for cutting short, but just because because I've been in the financial sector as well. I worked in fintech for a few years. So even my company that I was working with, and that was one of the strategies we employed, how to partner with another brand, to leverage on that license. And I remember, I think this was yeah, 26 was earlier. 2022 was such a dramatic year for me. So that company that I was working for, we also lost money, right? The company had given $500,000 to another company, well, the Naira equivalent. So it was supposed to be exchange FX, right? So that company had told our company that they were going to procure 500K for us. Or more. 2 days became 3 days, became 1 week, became 2 weeks. And then we got the police involved. I can't forget that day. We went to like policemen to the office. The MD had run away, and we did the KYC. We did then in digging, we now found out that they didn't actually have the licenses that they said they had. It was affiliation. And usually when you try to contact the affiliated partner, Nigeria is such you start to, those all start to disconnect and disengage themselves because now the transaction has gone bad. So great point. Please go on.
Yeah. So in cases like that, many a times we do not check to see, okay, what is the end of that bargain?
Yeah.
So many people just say, okay, they're affiliated with whatever company name. Let's say they're affiliated with ABC. And okay, since they're affiliated with ABC, that's good, that's fine. They don't exactly go to check, okay, are they really affiliated with ABC or they just wrote it on paper that they're affiliated with ABC? That is carrying out due diligence. Because if you're going to be putting your hard-earned money into whatever, you should, to a very large extent, go the extra mile, right? So that is one part of it. There's also the person who is the face of the brand, or who is the leader of the brand, or would I say the owner. You also want to check if they have a good track record. Because if they have a good track record, there's the higher probability that they would not want to smear their name. So they might want to do everything by the books and ensure that this particular venture that they've gotten into is eventually successful. And then there's another thing that a lot of us now tend to forget, that investing has its own fair share of risk. So there's nothing you want to do. There's absolutely nothing you want to do that does not have risk attached. So you now want to wake up one morning and ask yourself, okay, am I willing to let go of this particular amount of money if things go south? So nobody wants things to go south, apparently. But then again, there's that 1% probability in the sanest and most serene of situations. So you're checking what this company is doing. Are they going by the books? Are they in this business that they say they are in? And they're not doing something different? Because there's also one particular investment I heard about. I don't know if it was MBA or something, that they said they were going to help you to invest in Forex. Meanwhile, if you dig deep, these were very popular. They had offices all over the country. If you had digged deeper, you would have seen that these people were just robbing Peter to pay Paul. There was nothing else that they were doing, because if you look at the business of Forex, I'm just using Forex. I think that's like one of the most volatile examples. If you want to look at Forex as an actual business, in the real sense, people don't make so much. So when people are making money, I'm not saying they're not making so much, but out of 10 or 100 case scenario, the people that win are like 5.
Yeah, true.
And why do I know this? I've seen, or rather, I have really close friends of mine who do Forex. In fact, there's this acquaintance of mine who had done Forex for like 10 years. And it was around the 9th, 10 years, it started making sense. So this person has been losing consistently more than the win that they were winning for 8 years consecutively. And then one business person will come and tell you that, oh, I'm doing Forex, just bring money. I'm going to help you to bring maybe 10% or 20%. And they've been doing it, and they continue doing it. And you carry your money and...
I mean, let me just say this. My mom called me a few days ago, and she was like, Debola, what about crypto? Don't you think you should put some money on crypto? I said, I first laughed. They said she said, somebody, even if it's just 500,000, somebody told me you can put in 500,000 and then you get 250K back every month. I said, which crypto is that one? I said, that one is not crypto. I said, which coin are you buying with that money that is bringing 250K? I said, mommy, I hope you are not putting money already. She was like, I'm not really doing it. I said, I hope you're not putting money inside this thing, because that one is Ponzi, is money doubling. There is no cryptocurrency, anything. Anybody that is offering you that, it is that they want to trade with your money, right? But crypto is volatile. It's not that you put in 500 and you're collecting. That's not even how crypto works, right? Except somebody's trading. So like really, really spot on.
So when you have like all of these things in place, the next thing you want to ask, or the next question you want to ask is, does this thing align with me? So, like I said earlier, if you're not willing to let go of that money, then you don't have any business doing that particular investment. Of course, nobody wants to lose money, but there's also that part or that peace of mind you want to give yourself to know that anything can go wrong and I'm willing to take on this risk. Yeah. So if you're not willing to take on that risk, there's a high probability you might just be a conservative investor or you might just be a moderate person who wants to try something new and not. So then now it's now take us back home to you to find out, okay, what are those things that you are interested in, or how much are you willing to let go of, or how much do you currently have? Do you probably have an emergency fund so that in case this said amount of money you want to invest goes wrong, you're not going back to square zero. You don't want to be like me, right?
Yeah.
So it now leads us back to now doing a whole check on you as a person before going into whatever investment. And I would love to add that there are many a times when people always say that, oh, I've done my due diligence, but you did not. You just did hearsay and you think that's due diligence. You just looked at, oh, it is Oluchukwu that told me about this thing. And Oluchukwu is no, it doesn't work. It doesn't end from the person who is telling you about it. Yeah. It also goes into you using Google, asking other questions, understanding the business model. Whatever they're telling you, is it true? Because the example I just gave is more or less like a business model thing, because that does not exist anywhere. Yeah. So this is like pretty much
just picking up on that business model thing. Another thing I realized in this whole due diligence conversation is that a lot of, especially Nigeria, a lot of investments pioneers, as individuals who are pushing different investment schemes, have an issue. And for me, that's one of the major red flags. Like when you start to dig into the model, and for example, to be an investment company, right? One of the things that ought to come with that is, for example, you publish annual reports, right? And as well as the fact that your financial statements are also publicly available. We should be able to assess the performance and the health of the company based on the company's records, right? So if a company is pushing, bring your money, we would invest whatever type of investment scheme. I've learned that one of the things you should be able to have access to is the model, how you making money, as well as their financial statements. You want to see, because talk is one thing, right?
Easy.
The actual performance of the company and how money has come out, has gone in and is coming out. That's documentation, right? I've seen that a lot of investment propagators in Nigeria have an issue with that. So guys, really, if you're trying to do your due diligence and you're digging into the model, you're trying to dig into the papers, you're trying to dig into the numbers, you want to understand, because this company is asking you to trust them, right? To give you their funds. So there shouldn't be any issue with a company who is asking you for your hard-earned money to make available to you all the information. You're not asking them for where their fathers or grandfathers grave is. So what's the problem? All the information that you're trying to get at for that company, they should be willing to make it available. So if they're not willing to do that, don't give them your money. You understand?
Well said.
And if that is itching you and you feel like you have to give that money, we're going to give it to church. We're going to give it to the poor. All right.
If I bring it and give me.
I can also put my account number. I don't understand. It's my show. What's going on? Please bring the money. All right. So great. So we're going to play a little game.
Okay,
right.
Okay.
This game is called Growth or Cap. So I'll make a statement. Growth means that's good advice. Cap means that's misleading nonsense. So these are like popular investment advice that we just popularly hear people throw around and banter with, right? So and then basically you tell us why you think it's either good advice or this cap is misleading nonsense, right? All right. So number one, you must be rich before you invest.
Cap.
Why? As that your cap was too strong. You didn't even
I didn't even allow it, because do you know why I say cap? Because you don't have to be rich to start your investing journey. In fact, when I started my investing journey again, I started with 5K. Wow. And currently, you can buy stocks in the Nigerian stock exchange for less than 1,000 naira. But okay, you have to enter with a particular amount. So you don't need a lot of money. If you have 5K, are you rich? So you can start investing. You have answered my question.
So what can you invest 5K in? Tell us, since you are saying that you can start investing with as little as, okay, let's say 5, 10K, 50, but like what would you, so let's say I have 50K, right? And I want to start investing. What would you recommend?
okay, so after doing all of the whole internal search, you have an emergency fund, you have savings plan, you have an investment plan before you carry your 50K.
But how are we going to have all of that with 50K? Like,
no. So these are questions you ask yourself, right?
So you're saying that before I can have 50K to put in investments, I should have an emergency fund?
Yeah, before you bring out that 50K, obviously you have 50K now. Your emergency fund is like 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses.
Yeah.
So if your expenses is 100K, your emergency fund is like a savings in a high yield savings account that is like 300K to 600K.
Okay.
So for you to bring out that money to invest, for you to say you want to invest that 50K, you should have at least 300K in one account sitting down.
For emergency.
So you're ready now. You have whatever you need in your account.
Yeah.
That 50K now, we're going to now decide what is your goal. Okay. Is it that you want to invest this money till retirement, or you just want to put this money down for like a year and see what will happen to it, or you want to start investing so that in the next 3 to 5 years, maybe you started building your house, or we build houses here, we don't exactly buy that kind of thing. So you know,
I don't even want to dig into wherever that came from. What is we build houses here? We don't. Anyway, let's not deviate. Continue.
Please, I've been avoiding real estate, so let's stay. Okay, so that 50K now, you can decide. Okay, I want to do low risk. What's low risk instruments? You're talking about mutual funds. You're talking about bonds. In fact, that 50K can just sit in your high yield savings account. Sit pretty. If you're very not adventurous, you can lock it up. Get your interest rate upfront. Most the current Nigerian interest rate is well above 20%. So there are some fintechs that would allow you to keep your money with them for that percentage. So you can actually lock it and get that your 20 or whatever percent it is down. Sweet money. You can do whatever you want to do with the 20%. That's what rich people do. If people don't know, it's their interest that they're eating. But let's not debate. But then again, you've chosen between bonds, mutual funds, high yield savings account, or you're like, okay, no, I think I want to go a notch higher. I want to do something that has like a sprinkle of risk in it. So you're looking at things like ETFs, index funds. You're like, oh, I want to invest in stocks. Your 50K will buy you whatever stock you want to buy. Whether you're looking at the foreign stock market or you're looking at the Nigerian stock market, you're going to be able to start with that amount of money. And obviously, because you're investing, you cannot put all of that 50K in the exact same thing. That's more or less like if anything goes wrong, your 50 have gone. So you want to divide this into 2 or 3 marks. You don't want to spread yourself too thin because it's actually not a lot of money. And you do not want to reduce your you don't want to reduce the, would I say potency, or you don't want to reduce your interest rate or how fast your money can grow, because these different investment vehicles have different interest rates and will grow at different pace, right? So that is where you can put that. See, I think I mentioned maybe like 6 things already. Your 50K can do for you. So don't drag me.
Let's give her a round of applause. Awesome. Okay, now, so I guess we deserve that cap to have been as strong as it was. No wahala. Okay, next one. Growth or cap? Crypto is dead. Don't bother.
Cap.
Wow. I need to query my team. Why is it just cap questions they gave me for today? All right. Why did you say that?
I'll say it's like the new thing. It's barely, I don't think it's up to 20 years. It's not 2013 or so that the whole thing started. I can't remember. Please don't drag me. But either ways, it's not so old. And there's still a lot of possibilities, right? We've just touched the surface. Cryptocurrency is very, very volatile. In fact, it is one of the riskiest things. I can remember talking to my younger brother. I don't do crypto. So when there was a very high surge, I called him and I was ranting like, CEO, why am I so conservative? I would have made X amount. It wasn't like, no, you wouldn't have made X amount. This is what you would have made. Then he goes ahead to tell me that, you know that I do meme coins. I know. This is how much I lost. I said, okay, my brother, it was nice meeting you. Goodbye. Because if I was the one that lost that amount of money, I'm like, what's going on here? Just leave me alone. We're not talking for like 2 weeks. So it's not dead because there's still a lot of learning. There's still a lot of things that are coming up. Okay. While it is not supposed to be, I don't think you should have more than 10% of crypto. Like your whole portfolio shouldn't contain more than 10% because even the financial people, they're still learning. So is it now you that just wants to make money off it, that wants to put your life inside? Like your wealth inside. You're definitely going to make money. You're definitely going to grow. Crypto is still going to evolve. There's still a lot because, in fact, there's this new circular from the SEC, right? And they were like, oh, it is now part of the things, or rather, it is now legalized. They did not clearly state it out, because they know what they are doing. But it now means that, Nigeria is sort of opening up. The Nigerian government is sort of opening up to it. Other known economies are already open to it, while some of them are not open to it. So you see a whole lot of learning ground. So it cannot even be dead because it has not even grown to the extent of now getting dead.
Interesting. So. Okay, I agree with you then. And you guys, you can let us know in the comment sections what you think about these investment I won't call it advice, but like her position on this, whether it's growth or cap, you know, just let us know. You put growth, put cap, however you like. Another one, I'm coming to where we are saying, let's put it aside. I see it here. Real estate is always a safe investment, growth or cap. You see this
one is hard though. Is it always a safe investment? If you don't do, okay. I'm not going to answer this one. So this is where we need you people in the comments, because I would say it depends though. If you don't do your due diligence, then real estate is very, very risky. So cap. But if you know what you are doing, then it is not.
And it's growth.
It is actually growth, like, because damn, that is generational wealth we're talking about here. That is money that can be flipped. That is a lot. So
it's both growth and cap.
Yes.
But I mean, in the real estate sector in Nigeria of the last, say, 2, 3, 4 years post-COVID, or let's say, in the last 2, 3 years, it became, increasingly volatile, especially when our exchange rates started jumping from 750 to the 1,000 to the 1,2 to the 1,5. And there were real estate companies that had issues now. People started complaining that they had been duped. They had dropped money for projects, right? And then the company, was not able to deliver. And then I don't want to call any company's name before no problem. When it dragged me. But just, citing issues such as the increased exchange rates, that the price at which they imported those materials, now they're running at a loss. They can't continue the project is backed up, yada, yada, yada. So we've also seen that sector actually go through some of these issues.
And those are like the risks that comes with every type of investment, to be honest. Like the part where obviously the exchange rate couldn't have. In fact, when they were doing their quotation, they definitely used like the older figures. In fact, there's a particular project I know about that till now is not complete and it's still scrapping, because in the past 5 years, cost of production has gone over 200 or 300%. And that is me being like trying to play it down. So definitely, but then there are other aspects to real estate aside the what's it called, the building part, or I've forgotten the name of that thing, but there are other aspects to real estate, right? So there's the commercial, there's the residential, there's the agricultural. So it depends on where you are looking at it from. There's even land banking that is now gaining popularity. So which part do you want to go into? Do you want to hold on to? Do you want to make more money from? So it all depends on you, or it depends on where you want to harness it from, because all of these have their upside, and the part of you doing like the construction, the development, I think that's what I was looking for. The development is where there's usually a lot of hiccups. But if you just stick to the regular buy, sell, hold, you would be very, very safe.
Interesting. So you guys see free formula. We've given you free formula. Did you hear buy, sell, hold? You need to be giving us a round of applause and commenting, liking, following, and sharing for all these free tips that you're getting. Okay, I'm going to ask you the last growth or cap question. And it is, if you're not investing in stocks, you're wasting your money.
No, that's cap now. That's not the only investment now. There are other alternative investment. If you pass forward to this place, go to the back. I already mentioned at least 6 things. Stocks is just one way to the goal. It's not the only way. So there's still a lot of ways that you'd make way more money, or I won't say way more money. Don't go and take this upside down, but there's still a lot of ways you're going to make a lot of money. stock is one way, but then there are other avenues. In fact, one thing I talk about now, or rather this year, that I realized that people have been sleeping on is mutual funds, because it is one silent way to make money. It looks as if it is not, you're not making a lot of money. But by the time it compounds, by the time you allow the years to pass, if you zoom out, you're sleeping on cash. And there's now the alternative investment. In fact, there's even trading. There's even, there's so many ways for you to make money.
Something you just said about that whole compounding over the years and zooming out. And I think one of the major problems we have in our generation is the fact that we're mostly looking to get rich quick.
Yes,
Once it hits this thing fast, we need this money quick. I need to drive that Lambo, like while I'm still young. Which one is Lamborghini at 50? Which thing I want to come to?
Right.
Am I trying to drive my grave around, But then you want to drive a Lambo in your 30s, in your 20s. You want to look like a young boy that has money, So I think that's one of the major issues, right? Most of us, and I say us because most of us are in a hurry, right? We want to make this money early. So what would you say to help somebody who is locked in that mindset? Like you're not, just what I described. What would you say to help somebody who's locked in the mindset of you want to invest. Yes, investing is important, but you're constantly, because I think this is one of the things that drive people to fall into scams, right? And to be more open to the get quick rich schemes. Because if you're not a thief, how would you believe that you will drop 500,000 naira and you'll be getting 250K every month? If your
50%.
As in, if your eye is not the eye of a criminal. So how do you help, somebody who's locked in that mindset? What would you say to help?
This is very hard because I get to deal with it almost every day, where people just think that. I remember someone telling me that I think they wanted maybe 500% or 100% of whatever they were investing. I'm like, you sure you're talking to the right person? Because I've never, and I would never paint to you that in investing, you're going to get that kind of amount. Because, like I said, investing comes with its fair share of risk. So tell me, if you're doing buying and selling, let's say you're doing business, you're selling pencil, paper, biro, will you make that kind of margin?
Yeah.
So why do you expect that from people doing their regular 9 to 5, other businesses trading, and then you, as a person, they will not carry 50% and give you that, not do anything. You only brought in your money, right? So I don't know how to, because a lot of our generation and even the younger ones really have this issue of, once I put my money in fact, somebody will even tell you 1 month, come and get 20% in 1 month. Come and get 20% in 1 month. Come on now. That's how many percent in a year. Chuchu, are you a thief? No, you should not stress me. It's not possible. In fact, if it was possible, the government would be doing it. And is the government doing it? Them that are making the rules, are they doing it? No, because it is not possible. So you have to work, you have to buy, you have to sell, you have to exchange value to get X amount in returns. And investment is going to give you a particular amount in returns, to be honest, but not as much as these people paint it. You see all those ads that they're posting on YouTube, that I slept in my house and I woke up on Saturday morning with Tesla in my backyard. It doesn't work that way.
It's a lie.
It doesn't. If it was working that way, why are they telling you? Tell me that if they had that money, they would do that advert for you. Because, see, I'm actually paying though, in all honesty. I don't know why people think that.
What you just said now is somehow, because are you now saying that anyone who is selling knowledge in that form, they are broke. They don't have money. Because you just said if he has that money now, we need the
No, because they exaggerate these things, right? So I'm not saying that selling. So do you know that?
Don't you teach your clients? You do some work in marketing.
Yes.
Don't you teach your clients some of that? Marketing.
So selling your knowledge is actually will give you a lot of money, but that's not investing. A lot of people talk about that. If you invest,
So it's a different market.
It's a different thing entirely. It's not buying and selling. So people now make it seem like if you do not buy and sell, you're going to make a lot of money. So you just sit down at home and it will fall from heaven. Meanwhile, there's another line entirely, which is actually buying and selling. Like, because buying and selling is like the oldest way to make money. You're exchanging value in real time, in real form. Either you're even selling products or just services. So that's a different thing. Like, because you're going to have like margins on that. Not like on investing that is controlled by so many factors. We're talking about commodities. We're talking about mutual funds. We're talking about stocks, bonds, commercial papers. There are so many things that control of these things. So one person will now tell you that come and invest in, how do they even need to say it? Just come and invest in this particular business. The business is going to give you 20% every week. When you put your money, bring 2 more people, bring 3 more people. That's obviously not investing. But many people don't know because they are only focused on the return on investment. Oh, what is the ROI? Meanwhile, you're losing sight of this particular thing is just a Ponzi scheme. It's just a get-rich scheme, or that's like a popular way, whereby somebody just wants to collect your money and make you bring your family and friends so that they can have more money. And at the end of the day, you might gain. Some people might, but
usually people are getting early.
Then the rest of the people now get to lose.
Get burnt. Which is exactly how
See, people made me rant. I was pained. I was very pained.
Sorry. We apologize, but we loved it. Thank you very much. May you rant more often on our show. All right. But I think that, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but we'd definitely love to have you again. But because I feel like there's a lot to talk about. And if we're able to get on the show again, want to talk more about details now along the lines of mutual funds, stocks, ETFs, crypto, and sort of like, just go a bit deeper in the conversation, but that will take us more time.
Yeah, so I actually now eventually put together a bootcamp.
Awesome.
That would
tell us about that.
No, that will be doing like all of the investment assets, what you should know, whether or not you should go into it, whether it suits you or not. Yeah. So different from, we're saying stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, bonds. How can you understand it?
Please, when is your bootcamp starting?
So it's happening in May. In 2 months.
There's time. Okay. All right. So if you're hearing about this bootcamp before, this is April. Hopefully we have this episode published before the month of May. But is it going to be? Is it like? Are you going to?
Yeah, it's going to be recurring.
Okay.
But I think maybe every quarter or twice a year.
Okay.
So it's not like a lot for
Fantastic.
people.
All right. So we're going to look out for that. And guys, you should look out for. If you're not following her on Instagram, you should. Personal Finance Girl. Make sure you, because another thing I was going to mention is the fact that everybody wants money. Right. There is nobody on this earth that does
want money.
I want money. What else apart from God and a good wife and a good family and good children and good friends who want money? But I see that very few people actually take the time to get educated and know what to do with their money. Right. So talk is cheap, guys. Right.
Very.
And the most important thing is if you're hearing about a boot camp like this, you've heard her speak. She knows her onions. She knows what she's doing. She has a boot camp put together. Get in on that. Spend some money to learn. I always tell people at the end of the day, everybody's journey in whatever area or aspect of life begins with knowledge. Right. Yeah. Yes, it is important. Execution at the end of the day is, we like call it the key, because if you don't execute, you can't move from point A to B. Yeah. But we can't, because we talk about how important execution is, we then deprioritize knowledge, because execution is to execute what you know, right? So the journey begins with knowledge, right? So while you're sleeping on the bicycle, like this is, you get on board. Get the knowledge that you need to increase and improve your financial capacity. All right. So we've had such a good time. Just kind of like as we go into our roundup in this episode, let's talk a bit more about what would you say are your 3 golden rules of investing?
Just 3.
Do you have a notebook somewhere that has like 101 points? Yeah, just 3. Let's 3 slide.
Okay, so number 1, for you to start investing, I think it's very important for you to understand yourself. I love to say understand yourself a lot because people tend to forget that whatever you're doing for you, not for other people. So if you're thinking about investing, you should have a why. Why are you investing? What is the end goal in mind? And then it will now lead me to number 2, which is have a very, very clear plan. So you mentioned something about execution. So for a couple of days or weeks now, I've realized for myself personally how there are a lot of things to be done, but it always just ends under the carpet because it wasn't finally written out in plain paper. Like the Bible says, you have to write it out. The point of writing it out is so that you can come back to it and reference it. So you need to now have a very clear goal. Am I investing because I want to retire? Am I investing because I want to make more money? Am I investing because I have like a particular thing? Maybe I want to buy a car. I want to do this. You have to have a reason. And then the third thing that I would now add, this is why I said 3 was not enough, is you need to do your due diligence.
Yeah.
This hard-earned money that you have decided that you want to invest because of you want to have retirement, so you don't have to work by after 50. You don't want to put that money into the wrong hands. You don't want to put that money into the wrong investment. You don't want to put that money into something that is not going to be beneficial to you in the next couple of years. And this is where the understanding yourself comes to play again, because then what is the need? So for you to invest, please understand yourself. Please have a very clear goal. It can be just one line, but it has to be clear. It has to be smart. And then you have to then ensure that you're doing your due diligence, because your hard-earned money should not just go into thin air.
Awesome. So you heard it here, guys. You heard it here first. 3 golden rules of investment. Maybe I have a career in television. I think it's one of the things I need to explore.
You should.
So any television, host, out there watching me, you just shoot us an email, right? I like if you pay me well, sir, can be a host on your show. So we're supposed to play another game with this jar, but it's not working out. So I think all in all, final thing I want to ask you is, so you've lost money. I've lost money. So let's talk to people who have burnt their fingers, right? They've actually lost money, right? In this journey. And maybe right now they're going through, because we know what it's like, and the pain and the regret and the unknowns and the, trying to go back in time. I wish I was telling somebody recently that, I was telling my PA recently that, man, I wish I could go back in time and so. Sometimes, I think someone was telling me recently that, is there anyone who has created a time machine? When is technology going to get to that point? Sometimes you just wish that you could rewind the hand of time, especially when you've lost money, So what would you say to somebody who has lost money, got into a bad investment, or, maybe the investment legitimately didn't do well and the person lost money, or in some cases the person was actually scammed or defrauded and the person lost money? What would you say to?
This is very short because this is me talking from experience, which is, please, if you need to cry, cry.
Wonderful.
If you need to rant.
Wonderful.
If you need to talk to somebody, go ahead and talk. If you need to see a therapist, depending on how big it is affected you, please go ahead.
True.
But do not.
Some people have committed suicide.
Yeah, do not mope for too long. True. Do not cry for too long. Do not remain defeated for too long. You have to pick yourself up after a while. So let's see, I don't know if you can give yourself a time, but please pick yourself up as soon as possible and ensure that those mistakes that you made previously, you are not making those same set of mistakes. And by the time you're going into the next investment, so if you were like me who had to go and work, who had to go and make the money back because obviously I didn't have any other money to invest. In the period where I was making more money so I can start my investing journey all over again, I was learning aggressively. I wanted to know what was safe. I wanted to know what could work and how I would not end up losing money the next time I'm ready to invest. So this is what you should do. And like I said, please, if you want to rant, cry, feel bad, but don't remain there. And if I'm giving you a virtual hug, because it's actually not the best of situations, because you would definitely, that is when you now be remembering that something told you, my sister told me, my brother told me, but unfortunately, that mistake has been made, and that's fine. It's absolutely fine. Please move on and don't make that same mistake again. You can make other mistakes in the front though, but not that same one again.
Not that same one. Thank you so much. At a point, I was trying to give us one of our Nollywood soundtracks, just to put some emotion in the moment. But yeah, so thank you so much, Oluchukwu, for being on the show and having this conversation with us. And also to everyone who has listened, dialed in, watched this episode. I hope that a few of the things we've shared, right, have really helped you and made a difference in your financial journey. The reality of life is that, it somehow always comes round. The truth is, the more people are doing well financially, the more our society as a whole is doing well, right? And the more value we can collectively produce, right, as a nation. So I hope you've learned one or two things. Please ensure to like, share, follow, right? And let's just get more people on the conversation, right? This is Stories, the Growth Room by Deborah Ajayi. Until next time, see you guys. Thank you for dialing in. God bless you. Bye.